All right, this is Lunenburg Board of Water Commissioners meeting, March 8th. It's 4 p.m. We're going to get the meeting going. We're going to start by saying the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Alrighty, we have first on the agenda approved minutes of March 1st.
You want me to do it, Woody?
I need to read them.
Yeah, we didn't even see, I haven't seen him yet, so.
Yeah. So why don't we start passing and read those, and then we can also
Put them in the middle, we both.
sign warrants while we're doing that as well.
Oh, you read it, I'll sign the warrant. Just two, huh?
Yep. Yeah, not a whole lot. We have moved last week.
You're gonna tell. You're not giving us any breaks, huh?
Yeah.
Jesus.
I'll read this quick.
Okay.
EJP.
We're gonna start to go over the
Yeah,
process.
yeah.
while we're doing
Go
it.
ahead.
Okay. While we're working on our warrants and minutes, I just wanted to review the process real quick on what it takes to expand the water district. And Fran, you can jump in if I do something wrong, but
Okay.
if you are outside of the water district and you are looking to expand into an area that the water district does not cover, it needs approval of 50% of the mass of the landowners in that area. So if somebody has 10 acres in that area and somebody has 1 acre, then that person already has about 90% vote in that area. So it's not based on each individual property having a vote, it's based on the amount of land mass in that area on ownership. So currently the applicant has, from H2 Properties, has submitted a petition that has over 50% of the land ownership in that area that we are discussing tonight to expand the district. That triggers us as a commission to be able to call a special meeting of the district, and that is the only way that the water district boundaries can be expanded, is through a vote of the entire district, or the people that show up to vote. We have no regulatory authority or vote, other than we have our single vote on this. As a board, we have no control over this process. This is the process set forth in our bylaws. So with that being said, we can, at this point, I'll turn it over. I mean, I believe we,
The only thing you missed is with the petition part.
Yeah.
So he submitted that he has the signatures in the majority of the land area.
yep,
He hasn't submitted the actual petition. We actually wording that I have this and I'd like you to call a special meeting. We
okay,
haven't actually received that yet.
okay,
But I mean, you have the information needed to do that next step.
okay. So then he would have to submit the actual petition for us to have a special meeting to expand the district.
Correct.
Okay. So are we looking to just meet with the representative from
We'll see
H2?
what he's got.
Yeah. if you'd like to come forward, sir, and we can continue our discussion.
So, that's 50% of H2 right now. I believe my business partner will be coming soon.
Okay,
So the petitions that we provided, I believe the seller passed those around to the residents and received.
Can everybody hear him?
No.
No, okay. You'll have to speak up, sir.
So, we were directed to create a petition form and send those to the neighboring residents of 110 Burn Street. And we received, I believe, 9 out of 13. Therefore, we passed those over to the water district, and then we were looking to see what steps we needed to move forward.
so then the next step, Fran, would be a formal,
Yeah, formal request to expand the district. And
with the signed petitions.
yes, yeah, so maybe resubmit those with a formal request to expand the district.
Okay.
You know, and then at some point, your legal people need to write the article that it's gonna, and the article needs to be specific detail that, you know, to this border and 300 feet along this border and the exact detail of the expansion area. That's what you need to do.
Now, does that require, like, any surveying?
I don't believe so. I believe you could reference map.
No, I don't believe it. It doesn't require surveying, but you would need to go to possibly like the registry of deeds or something like that and pull up some accurate information showing what your proposal would be.
Okay. Because I believe the last month at the agenda, we will receive the information to move forward with providing the petition forms. You were given a map of what residences to approach, and we use those residents.
Yeah, that was just my guess of what you
Okay.
guys, and I think I guessed what you would want. I'm not sure, but we typically, when we do the district expansion, we do property lines. Because it's not right. In the past, they used to do it where they do so many feet off the road. And then you got a property that's, the house isn't in the district, but the front property is, and now you can't service them. So it just wasn't right. So now we use the actual property lines to just make it clear who we serve. So that's what I drew on your map, was
Understood.
I just follow property lines and stuff at the end of it.
And sir, maybe get your name.
I'm sorry, I'm Jared Height, Jared, H-I-T, Jared.
And I'm James Hall.
Fran, we're gonna take questions for him from the audience,
Well,
or we're gonna wait a little while, or what do you wanna do?
Well, that's up to
Well,
Mark.
Oh, okay.
So, we are here just for water. So we don't regulate what their plans are for development. That's planning, zoning, building department. Those are all of those boards. So I would say if anybody had a question pertaining to either the expansion of the district or water, we would definitely take those. As far as the type of development, that would be up to, probably asking the applicant after any questions as far as that goes, because we don't have any regulatory authority on development and the type of development and what they're proposing to put in there. So does anybody have any questions relating to the water? Yep, and if you could just state your name, please, and your address, and
Okay. My name is Sharon Jordan. I live at 77 Burridge Street, right across the street from the proposed area. Last night, I was given the opportunity to talk to the Board of Selectmen about this proposal. I understand completely that your authority is on the water district boundary alone, and I respect that. I do want to say that from the residents' perspective, there are many implications for this project that will impact all of us, and a few of my friends have come with me, and Selectman Franco is here to ensure that the voice of the residents are heard. I have a map that's based on what you did, Fran, of the water district and what it would look like from our perspective if you expanded it. Our perspective, and I'm not going to, there are many things about this property that are not obvious just by looking at the water district boundary. The most significant is the environmental issues that are associated with this, and the fact that there is sewage waste that was on that property for many years that penetrated into the bedrock, including industrial waste barrels, 15 pits, 16 barrels. That waste was there for decades, and it penetrated into the bedrock, and it has affected people's wells in the neighborhood. If the water district is expanded, I believe that there is a chance that the disturbance of the soil and the water could impact more wells. I actually have a question about whether it would be okay to bring the water pipe itself through the area where the pits are, because when I saw the sketch of the road, when we were here before, it went right through the pits. So that is a question about whether you want to expand the water district boundary so that it incorporates this area that was polluted. There are 6 cases open at the DEP. Well, not open, I take that back. There were 6 cases open at the DEP about this site. 4 have been closed, 2 remain open, and will remain open, as far as I know, for a century, for this stuff to penetrate all the way through the bedrock and disperse someplace else. So I do want to respect, what you are able to decide, but I ask you to listen to the requests of the people who live in the area to, at the very least, give us a few months before you call that special meeting so that we can learn more about this. It's all about the facts. This is just what I've been able to find out in the last few weeks looking at this. And I think it deserves a lot more exploration, even at the water district perspective, of whether it makes sense to expand the water district boundary.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Fran, what's our timeline if he submits his request do we have a timeline where we have to schedule the meeting?
Not that I'm aware of. No, it would be more what they'd like to see kind of thing. But we could do it and to meet our needs.
Okay.
Let's hold it off for 3 months or whatever it is.
Okay.
I mean, there's work to do with the drawing up, have the attorney drop the article and stuff like that.
Right,
And then to call, so we actually got to call a special meeting, so the board would actually do that, sign a warrant, approve that article, and then it's going to be posted for 2 weeks, newspapers and everything. So it's going to take some time. Even if we said we're going to do it immediately, it's still going to take.
Right.
Take some time.
We don't-
a month anyway.
We don't even
You-
have the finalized petition yet at this point, so I understand why everybody's here. We are definitely in the beginning stages of this, but, yeah.
So, I mean, people have concern,
Well, that's why
give it-
I don't know if the applicant would like to maybe do a review of what you're proposing. That may help. I believe at our last meeting, I wasn't there, but you spoke that you were buying the entire property and also buying the responsibility of the contaminated areas. So now you'd have to follow what DEP is recommending as far as those areas, which is what we would follow as far as any recommendations as far as concerns about our piping and what went in the ground and where it went.
I think it would be helpful, just, there's probably a gazillion questions out there, but the little brief that you gave us, just so the public is aware of what,
I'm wondering if the history of the land would be helpful before they talk about what they're planning.
Yeah, I think
Sure,
so.
okay.
Sure, anything that helps everybody get as much information as they can so they can make an informed decision.
Hi, I'm Linda Penniman. I am co-owner with actually, my husband is.
Can everybody hear
yeah.
up there?
Linda, I'm gonna,
Make-
you know what,
turn.
I understand and I appreciate you addressing us, and very much so, but I believe
I
that,
think everybody here needs to
Everybody, I
hear
wish
what
you-
you're saying.
We own the land. We did the cleanup. We've spent just shy of $500,000 doing the cleanup. If in 2005 we had town water available, they would have closed the case. Those 2 DEP numbers would be closed. Well, because we don't have town water. So if we had town water, they would be closed. The 1 DEP number we have on the land, we have test wells. MW 101 and MW 201 there was only one pit that was contaminated. That one, those two are reading not detected for VOCs. So they've cleaned up. So whatever contamination now is down 450 feet. We can't, we can't remediate it because, you need oxygen, you need, what cleaned it up was nature. It rained, it diluted, it cleaned itself up. When I first went to work in 1975, I worked at Fitchburg Paper. And I'm going to tell you that river in front of it was, one day it was pink, one day it was yellow, one day it was green. When my father-in-law dumped what he dumped in the 60s, he didn't know anything about environment, but he did know that when the trees defoliated, not to do it again. And he did it that one time. It was a mistake. We've been paying for that mistake to the tune of $500,000. This year, our expenses are expected to be $18,000 just for testing, for PFAS tests. That's a lot of money when we're retired. Well, I'm not retired, but my husband's retired, to come up and drain your savings every year, $18,000 plus taxes, plus mortgage, plus anything else. You talk to my LSP, it cost me $180 for that. So,
I can't help that.
you can have that.
No, but Linda.
I'm going to inject right here. One thing we're going to do here is this is public comment, and I welcome any and all public comment. So hold on, but it's not public discussion amongst back and forth. It's just, please present your case. We appreciate it, and we'll have somebody else.
We have done our best to make this right. We are not happy that we have two wells that are suspect. It's not our goal or anything else, but this is an opportunity to stop the bleeding of funds because, eventually, and this will be the year that we run out of money. And then there'll be no more testing, there'll be no more, because we can file with the state and say we are unable to pay. And all the testing that we're doing will stop. Now I didn't bring with me, but I have a register of all the testing on the Charette well, which is the only one that was really contaminated. Your well was only below drinking water levels. It was just small amounts. The numbers are within drinking water limits about 90% of the time. In the summer, though, it's drought, it's less water, the numbers go above. And for that reason, the numbers stay, the DEP number stays open. So it's not like we've ignored it. We're trying to find a solution. We would like Mr. Charette to have clean drinking water. His house is devalued for the fact that his well is contaminated, and we would like to see the right thing happen. It's not like I'm going to make $1 million off of this. I'm not, because I've already spent way more than I'm going to ever get out of this. So thank you.
Thank you.
I just want to add to what Linda said.
Could you please come to and just give your name and address?
Thank you.
I am Prudy Penniman Parsons. Scott and I are basically co-owners at this point. And I just want to add that we are in good stead with the Mass Department of Public Works and Mass DEP. That we have followed all of their regulations. We have done everything they have asked us to do. There is nothing further to do. We removed all the sewage, which we weren't required to do, but we did. They took all of that soil out of there. We have done everything they have asked us to do for the last 18 years.
18.
And
18 years we've been paying.
the only problem is that one well, and this would be a solution. to that whole situation. You know, if someone chooses not to tie in, that's fine. But really, none of the other wells in the neighborhood have been inspected to the point where it is dangerous. And we have done everything we can do. This would solve the problem.
Thank you.
I don't know if this makes a difference or not, but spirit of full disclosure, I'm not in the water district, so I don't know to what extent I have a right to speak. But
What's your name?
constituents.
We need your name and address, sir.
Name and address, and then we'll, we know who you are, but if you state your name and address.
Lou Franco, 250 Arbor Street.
Yep.
Maybe you can tell me if I'm in the water district. I don't think so, though. So this is more, I'm just getting in on the ground floor on this thing as of like 72 hours ago. I didn't even know this was a thing. So I'm just trying to collect information for my own edification. This is a hypothetical set of facts. I don't know what the status of this site is, but just to learn from you. While I can appreciate where disturbing contaminated soil would be bad for existing wells, is there also a risk of, like, if you put a water line through there? I mean, I'm assuming these water lines are not 100% watertight. Maybe I'm wrong. Can contamination seep into a? No.
I would leave that to Fran.
No.
The water pipes are watertight.
Okay.
And there is a protective coating you could put, so if you went through an area that was contaminated,
Yep.
there's a wrap that you can put on it
Okay.
that would separate the contaminated soil from the water pipe. So it could be done.
Okay, so that's a wrap that goes on as you're putting the pipe. And I'm
Correct.
aware of these things where existing pipes, if they crack and stuff, they put them inside and then they inflate them, but you're saying as you put it in, you can
Yes.
put them. That's all. I just wanted some education there. All right, thank you.
I have a question for the developer. My name is Shirley Cox, 305 Burbage Street, and this kind of pertains to water and not, but I wondered about the sewage, and if you're gonna put in, what you're gonna do with that, because I'm concerned about leach fields and things like that, so.
She's gonna talk to us.
I just found out about this on Monday, and I've lived on Birch Street for over 40 years. I didn't know that this even existed. So, is that okay?
Well, I would leave that to the builder or the developer, if they wanted to maybe give an overview. We might answer a lot of these questions and that might be one that we
Okay,
have,
so you would be at the meeting too, because I was thinking about the water and the leach fields if they.
We wouldn't, we would have nothing to do with sewer.
Okay.
That, whether it's a good question, whether they're planning on private or public sewer, but that would be for the applicant. So,
Thank you.
yeah, so we're leaning towards the proponents and the applicant for right now. The family that owns the land has spoken, so we're gonna kind of leave it to you to give us some sort of an overview and go from there.
Thank you guys for coming. I'm James Hall. I think we've had a lot of questions involving the property, and I know you're speaking highly of contamination. As you know, they've already clarified, bringing water could change the contamination for everyone on Bird Street, right? Putting the water line will help everyone on Bird Street. If you let it tie in, it's gonna help your value of your home, and it's gonna be able to provide drinking water for everyone on Bird Street, Bird Road, right? So I know that's a concern. If you guys wanna know what exactly we're gonna do there, it's gonna cost funds, right? It's gonna cost a ton of money to do an engineering plan. It's gonna cost a ton of money to bring in water. It's gonna cost a ton of money to bring in roads. We're looking to do a subdivision. With the subdivision, we're thinking to do a 55+ community in that area. The subdivision, we're looking at 25 homes with a small 55+ community. That's exactly what we're looking to do. That is to recoup the funds and also to help the area to hopefully gain some type of profit that you guys is in. When you're retired, you're not in the situation that they're in right now, trying to figure it out. Right? She can't retire because she's making sure everybody's water is clean and safe. Right? That's a very hard thing to do. So I've talked to Linda 100 times, and you said, what is it we can do to help? and I understand everyone's concern. I understand no one wanna see a big subdivision. I understand no one wanna see 50 homes in that area. 51 acres that we're gonna be dealing with. So we don't know exactly what we're gonna be able to do there. We're not bringing in apartment complexes, that's for sure. We're doing single families. That is our idea, and 55 plus. Right? So we're not trying to grow the community to make it congested. We're trying to basically expand the community in a way to help basically bring water. Right? It's gonna cost us some money, right? But we need to recoup the funds that we're gonna put out. That's small pieces of what we're trying to do. Any questions?
Sir,
Mr. Rogers, could you please?
Making them get up.
Yeah.
if I fall down, pick me up.
No, I got it. I'll stand next to you.
Hey, we could have a group. Anyway, my name is Dave Rogers. I live at 82 Highland Street. And the question that I have is, could you explain to us what kind of experience you have with building, and you've touched on the envision part of it, and but I'd be interested in finding out what kind of experience and how many projects you've done, and give us a thumbnail sketch of who you are, where you've been, and what you're going to do.
Okay.
All right? Thank you.
You want me to go first, or you want to go big boss? He has all this thing. I'm just a talker. But I'll let Jared give you guys his experience on the project. You know, you can go from your first job till now.
So I was schooled at Rensselaer Polytech, upstate New York, engineering school. My background is civil engineering. I'm primarily transportation engineer. I work for a firm in Boston currently for over 20 years now. I'm 41. So I work for several land development firms as well. This will be our first big project, but although we'll be using very experienced contractors, and we have that experience. I have the experience in working with plans. I do expect my firm to work on this project, and from there, that's pretty much my background. But as far as other big developments or what have you around the state, we've never.
Yeah, this is our very first big project. Me and Jared do own multifamilies, and Brockton, Lynn, Dorchester, Roxbury. So we've been friends for 15 years? Yeah, 15 years, and we started a company about 4 years ago. We did a few small projects, nothing as big as 51 acres. But this is something that we wanted to attack together and bring in a lot of investors. But the investor that we thought to bring in was a guy who actually does private equity. And he does a lot of real estate stuff. He has a hotel in Newport, Rhode Island, and he thought this would be a nice small project to attack. The big project piece of it, like I said, we've never done subdivisions and homes. That's not something we will be attacking. We would definitely bring in some developers who are doing it.
I have a question for you as a citizen, Matt Woodward, 64 Arbor Street. I think it may be helpful to a lot of folks here is, we've talked about, I believe you said 25 homes and then also on top of that, a 55 plus community. While I'm no developer, I'm pretty, fluent in some of this. And I know in this area of town, this is Zone B, and to put a single family home, I believe it's a 200-foot frontage with a 2-acre parcel attached to it. I mean, has anybody, and I understand you're at the very beginning stages of what you're looking to do here, has there been any preliminary sketch or design on this that maybe could be shared with the public, what you're looking to do? Because
So there was a preliminary done, probably 15 years ago?
We had conceptual plans.
Conceptual plans that were done 15 years ago.
I know that the zoning laws have changed significantly.
Yes, but we just kind of, visualized that plan and said, okay, we would have to cut this. we kind of looked at those plans. We haven't put any plans together, obviously because we've been in this stage.
Sure.
Right? And this stage is, we're not gonna start putting in all the work, like we're told, nope, this is not gonna happen.
Understood.
Right, but ideally, we already looked at the plans, already been proposed, to say, okay, someone's already put this in the preliminary plans, and it looks like this project did not happen. I talked to Steve Powell, and he told me the reason why he did not go forward with this project is because of the funds that he would have to put in to do this project. So, he is someone who has a house on Ridge Road, on the backside, is that it?
Reservoir.
Reservoir.
Yep.
Okay. Reservoir that abuts this property, and he said he would love to be a part of it. The reason why he hasn't done it is because of the funds he would have to pour in just to bring water to the property, and he actually has water on his property. So we went to a couple people in the area to even tie into his water main to bring water over, and he decided not to go forward with that because the problem of having him running a water main through his property. If a pipe burst, his family's homes were there, and they would have to dig it up and chase the line and all that stuff. So we have did some research with the preliminary plans that we've already saw. I think it had 29 homes or 28 homes on it, and we realized, okay, if we could scale back on some of these properties, we could probably get to about maybe 20, 25. We are going to look to shrink the frontage, but not dramatically. We will be looking to do that because as we looked at the plan, my civil guy said, this road here, this is the square footage, it's not going to work. The way he did it, it was only, I think, 10 homes. I think that's what he came up with, 10 or 15. So we decided maybe we have to scale back and go to the town. We're in the beginning stages. We haven't even talked to the board, the planning board at all about this. We're just trying to get the water department to say, yeah, we agree to extend the water. So then we still have to go to the board to even ask for those, and that could be told no. Just so you know.
So you still have to go to the general public, which is the water district, for the vote. My personal feeling is that the more information you can give the public, the better chance you're gonna have. And I think that there are a lot of unknowns. You might have to spend a little bit to get some sort of a concept, because I think with the unknowns, it's gonna be unlikely that you would get the support of the community.
Understood.
So that's just my personal feeling on that, but, ma'am.
My name is Randall Knight, I'm 20 Pine Street, I'm not really close to that, but basically my issue is health issues. If we do go tie through, you're saying that you need to wrap, do you wrap the pipes now around here, or will that only be wrapped around that area?
Only where we're into contaminated soil.
And what's it wrapped with?
It's a plastic.
What's it called? What's it made of, can you find out?
I could.
I'm kind of curious how it breaks down over time. And also, when the houses are, once the stuff is dug up and the houses are all, I don't know anything about it, once it's all developed and the houses are sit there, do you have any scientific evidence that none of that stuff will be hazardous to our community and our children that are growing up? Do you have scientific evidence that that will be all dissipated?
We will have that.
I'd like to see that. And once I get that, this is my major concern, because I feel that anything that's built on top of toxic waste, especially at this time, without all that dissipation of the time, it's just not going to be there, and I feel that it's going to be a detriment to anybody that lives there.
I believe the DEP would regulate, and where it's already an open site, I believe that they're probably gonna be looked at a lot closer than just any other ordinary site.
Hi, my name is Dawn Duffy and I live at 674 Flat Hill Road. So I'm not in the water district, I do have concerns about water in general. So my question is, considering the size of the development, if it's 25 homes in a senior community or whatever, would the use of water at those additional communities be evaluated as part of this proposal, considering that at previous meetings we talked about how the wells are in town and where the water comes from for the town that are on the town water supply? And additionally, since, again, it's been pointed out in previous meetings that all of the water in town, including the town, comes from the same water basin, how drawing that additional amount of water for these homes would impact people who have private wells outside of the water district?
I would let,
Okay,
I'd
so-
go with Fran on that one.
So,
It's a lot of technical.
The water, typical well for a private is a bedrock well. So you're in the rock area. All of our wells are above the bedrock, in the sand and gravels. So our water sources are more local. So we don't impact the water that's in the bedrock wells. So whatever we drew for water would not impact a well in any way. I mean, if we were drawing from a bedrock, then, you're drawing the water through cracks and stuff. So it could impact what's in the well. But in this case, it's more local. And the reason why, and this is what DEP wants us to do, is draw from the gravel areas, because then you can do test wells and you can monitor and see exactly where that water's coming from. So you can know if there is any contamination source, you can prove where you would likely have contamination to your well, which they would not just put the well in.
Right, so I think I'm not sure that you're answering the question I'm asking.
Okay, so just to clarify, when the DEP approves a well, before a well is put in, it's put into use, you might say, there's a list of regulations that we go through the DEP, and one of the things they regulate is I'm not exactly the formula they come up with, but they come up with a max rate that we can use the well per day, so many gallons.
Right, correct.
So that has already been established. So to your question, yes, there is probably a little bit of math involved on our end to figure out our max draw on our current wells that are in use, and will it feed this area? It's a legitimate question. I'm sure we could, I can't do the math right now, but we could come up
with
with.
that information be able to be provided before.
Absolutely.
This would be voting for.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I was more if it would impact your wells. On our wells, like as he stated, we have a maximum capacity. We have our average day that we have a permit for from Mass DEP, and as long as we maintain within that permit level, we can expand to supply other people.
Right.
And if it was a large area, large development, let's say he was putting in 500 houses, we could go and submit an application and increase our permit.
Right.
So we could.
So therefore, those DEP permits for the max draw per day takes into account those situations, like you say, I'm not, where you're not in the water district, you might be nearby, that they do this formula. I'm not a hydrogeologist, to make sure that they're not, us drawing water is not taking away from your well. So that is been addressed.
Great, and I would just also comment that I know there's potential other developments that would also be on town water and the water district for Lunenburg, and ask that those also be taken into consideration when doing those calculations so that they're not independent of each other at the same time.
Absolutely.
Okay. So
Everyone, Matt Holland, 91 111 Burridge. We got both of them. One of them's the driveway. We actually bought our house from Linda in the pandemic. Had to say something. I am not in favor of any of this. I'll just put that out there. I think it goes completely against any spirit of the neighborhood at all. It's going to interrupt the wildlife. It's going to interrupt the character of the town. With regards to the water district, when you vote on or move forward with projects, you coordinate with other aspects of the town. I imagine Public Works at all. I mean, you have to rip up the road to put in pipes.
Oh.
It's a brand new road.
Oh yeah, sure.
It's lovely. I hate to see that lovely, paid for, already there road ripped up so we can drive over gravel another, how long would this take? And then how many of us have driveways, 400, 500, 1,000 feet plus? Who's gonna pay to put in that pipe? It's not gonna get put in. So how many of us does it actually benefit? We get to live with all of this in the short term and the expense, so you can cut and run with a property that you said you're getting, what'd you spend, just under $500,000? Wasn't it listed at 400K? Sounds like a wash. We don't need to deal with that, so that you can go like this and walk away. No, thank you. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
But it does solve the pollution problem.
There is another area in town where there was contamination, and we expanded the district so that, and I believe it mitigated the issues that they were having from contamination. So it's not the first time that this has been brought to us. Hickory Hills, right?
Yep.
That was contamination down there, and that was the main reason, the main driving force behind the expansion of water into that whole area.
Is that, are you talking about Hemlock Drive?
Hickory Hills Lake in general had a contamination issue, and I believe that was the driving force to expand the water to the residents around the lake.
And how many existing homes were affected by that?
Everyone down there.
Well, it was just Hemlock Drive. It was just a local area around the contamination site. And not all the wells had contamination in it, but it was the paper mill in Pittsburgh. They were the ones that were responsible for the dump site. They didn't want to take any chances, so they ran the water line down Townsend Harbor Road, Hemlock Drive, Pine Acres, and Hickory Lane, a little small, and they paid all the connections, they ran
How
tied
many
up.
houses was that?
50,
When was that?
1990?
I want to say just one thing. I'm not for or I'm not against. All I want to say is that the solution to contamination is public water. There's no other way to get around it. So, if you want to live with your well forever, or whoever other well is contaminated, might be contaminated next year or the year after, but the only solution to get rid of contamination is public water.
You are absolutely right.
So, I'm not trying to sell you public water. I'm just trying to give you as much information as we know and have about these problems in the past.
Sir,
You can stay there, Dave, you've already,
we'll let you.
you've already introduced.
Plus, we can't pick you up, Dave, so.
My question is about the current well systems that we have as it may affect this PFAS that we hear going around. To me, it's a very large project. In the United States, I guess, I don't know about the world, but every city and town in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, 351 of them, are facing some sort of position with PFAS. Given that, what kind of impact would this kind of a development do for that kind of an expansion? And how is it that it makes good sense to take on more responsibility when we don't even know what the outcome of the current PFAS situation is going to be?
I think my feeling is in the grand scheme of everything, that PFAS is a large issue that we're going to continue to address. But when you look at proportionally, the amount of water that this development's going to take compared to the rest of the community, I don't feel that the PFAS issue and this development really, I don't think it grows any sort of an issue as far as the PFAS goes. We're going to constantly still be dealing with that for years to come. And I think the size of this development it really has nothing to do with the PFAS. It's an ongoing thing that we're going to have to deal with throughout the whole district and with our supplies. Would anybody want to add or?
No, I mean, I'll always add, geez, yeah. I understand what you're saying, Mr. Rogers, and it's definitely, it's a food for thought question. I think that may go back to, as our previous person came up here and talked about, do we have enough water to supply this area? And that will go back into doing the calculations of what wells we have online, the max per day, and adding into, what was proposed here. One thing I do want to just make very clear to everybody here that's in the public, that while their petition to expand the water district and they can draw up the 25 houses and the 55 plus, It's never going to be contingent upon that. In other words, if for some reason you vote yay or nay on this, if the water district got expanded to there, it's not married to their proposal. They could sell that land off to the next person and they could put in whatever, they could put Disneyland in there or whatever they want. So I just want everybody to understand that there's no way to put a contingency on it that, yes, you can expand it for this. It doesn't work that way. It's expand or not expand. What happens with that property, they may put one house up there or they may put 40B. There's no guarantee on our end of that at all. We're just the water district expanding too. Sure. No, you're.
So if you're saying that it's not related to how many units they're going to build and how much water is going to be used as a result of those units, then how can it be calculated how the impact is for the rest of the town and on the potential water treatment plant that you're proposing to build to combat PFAS?
So basically, this kind of boils down to the bylaws that are set in place, and there's rules and regulations of how the water district gets expanded. That, like, in all honesty, is us three members up here on the board, we can just follow the rules and regulations that are in place, and that's it. If someone came in to propose, I don't know, where they would be using an exorbitant amount of water, and it made it through to that point where it came back on us, it may get to the point where, like, we can't supply the need that you have. All right, so there would be, maybe we could limit it that way. But I'll be honest with you, I believe, I don't know the exact numbers right now, but the size of this in this area, we should easily be able to cover it. Don't quote me on that, I didn't do the numbers, but I don't view, we're not there yet.
Yeah.
If you threw in, I'm not sure we'd use a whole bunch of water, but, that may be a little bit different story.
Sure. No, yeah, so I would maybe suggest doing like a worst case scenario for that calculation.
Sure, absolutely, I totally agree with you.
On the worst case, they usually use a Title V notice for a septic design, 110 gallons per
I think
bedroom.
we said that we weren't sure if they were having septic or
No, but those would be the numbers he would use.
Yeah, that's what we use worst case. Typical numbers for a true person is 55 gallons per person per day. We have to calculate that every year.
yeah, sure, to know how many people or how many septics you would consider.
Yeah,
safe.
so if we use the Title V numbers of 110 gallons per bedroom,
Well, right, but how many Title Vs would you consider? Because you don't know how many units are going to be there.
Well, if we go by what he just said.
Yeah, if you go by what he said, but you said once he does it, he can do it. That's not tied to
yeah.
expansion.
I understand your question, and I guess my answer is that there's no guarantee on what they will put in there. However, if someone were to put in a larger than normal project, at that point, we may be able to say, we just can't supply that, okay? What they're proposing right now is a common development, and it shouldn't be an issue, but I will even get you the numbers if you'd like.
I would love that.
Okay, no problem. Please see me after the meeting. I'll get your email address, and we'll do that.
Okay, do we have any other discussion on the matter? Yep.
I just wanted to clarify a
Okay.
little bit. I'm Stephanie Trudell. I live at 54 Houghton's Mill Road, which is off of Reservoir. My property is in the yellow zone on the map that Sharon so kindly provided for us. I am very concerned about the environmental impact. I'm concerned about my well, of course, in general, and ours is deeper than some in the area because the previous owners had gone dry. So my well is quite deep, and I'm very concerned that disturbing a site where very dangerous, toxic, long-lasting chemicals are down into the ground, digging up for roads, digging up for foundations, digging up for septic tanks, that is going to release those chemicals back into our environment. And I'm very concerned about that overall. I'm concerned about overall water usage, and will that offset people being able to have good, clean wells. And I just wanted to clarify, is it 25 single-family homes and then an additional 55 plus community? How many would be in the 55 plus community?
We're looking at 40.
40? Okay. And am I correct in understanding that there is nothing holding you guys to keeping to those numbers and what you're proposing? I'm not saying you're going to pull it back, so I just want to
No,
make sure.
nothing's keeping us. It's a numbers game.
Okay.
It's just as well as anything else. It's a
Okay,
numbers
so
game.
everything that's being proposed here for this site,
This is only for water.
yes. But we don't know for certain as a community how many people will actually be drawing from our final resource.
Correct. Because we don't even know if the town would even allow us to do 20. They might tell us 2,
Okay.
right? And if there's 2, there's nothing.
Okay, and I am concerned that building properties on top of toxic chemicals, because there were some schools that were built in Lowell on top of sites very similar chemicals, and they are now seeing in teenagers illnesses that they're really are related
Well, just so
to
you,
that.
just so everyone know, the whole site is not contaminated. I think that's where.
Yeah,
the
there's only one
confusion-
kid.
The harm here is harm
But-
there, disturbing it will spread.
I know, but
Yeah.
All I'm gonna do is contaminated.
are your property contaminated right now?
I'm not here about that, I'm here about,
You said-
I'm concerned about the
you brought it
future
up.
of my
right.
Oh, sir, ma'am, well, like I said, this is public comment, please, we're just trying to keep this thing, on point. Yeah.
I just wanted to make sure that I was clear on that, and I do want to reiterate that I understand that you guys can only vote to expand or not, and that you have no way of holding anyone, not just you folks, but anyone to what's proposed.
Correct.
That's true.
And the petition has not been submitted yet.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you guys, I appreciate it.
One more.
One more, and then I got one quick question.
So I feel like it's been noted a few times that this is in very preliminary stages and we don't have a proposal of exactly how many units will be there and whatnot. So my question is, why is this the first place that this is coming to? Why don't we have a better idea of what's going to be proposed to build there? Why is this the first stop as opposed to the planning board or whatever other things and frontage concerns and this and that?
I can speak for the two gentlemen behind you. Because if they can't get water here, they're not gonna do it.
I know,
Is that-
I know that's the answer.
okay.
I just wanted everybody
Okay.
to
Yeah.
also come to
If they
that.
can't
Right.
get water, it's,
Thank you.
yeah.
May I ask some information about the PFAS? My understanding is they are everywhere, and there's no one single contributing factor that has been identified. They could be throughout town. PFAS in her well may have nothing to do with us. You know, that has not been our thing. We have been looking at the hazardous waste, and we have been trying to eliminate that.
Yeah, yeah, I would agree. I mean, PFAS is everywhere. The science is still all very brand new, how it's coming, the levels of it, and the effects that it has on people. It's tough to narrow down where the science is very new. I had a quick question for landowner or whatever. There's 51 acres there.
Yeah.
Can you quantify the size of the contaminated area? It's not the entire 51 acres?
It's not even an acre, it's probably 100 square feet.
Okay, and in developing or proposed development, how close to that 1 acre is there going to be development?
They could easily work around it, I'm sure.
I mean, look up at the road over the
And
contamination.
I'm assuming that would be something you'd run through DEP or whatever, but they would have whatever regulations
We
you'd have to follow.
test wells, test the wells, and they're gonna be tested again to confirm. There are no VOCs detected
Mm-hmm.
on the contaminated site, which means it's been 18 years.
Yep.
And the process of life has taken over. It's,
Yep.
the Nashua River is clean now. It's not pink, it's not blue, it's not green anymore. It's cleaned itself out.
Has there been any testing outside of that 1 acre
Oh, yeah.
on other spots of the 51 acres?
I have probably a dozen test wells all over the place, and the only two that were hit was 201 and 101, MW 101 and MW 201, and I can go home and check the things, but as we went further away from the hot spots, there was nothing.
Okay, thank you.
Did I,
Anything else?
Yeah, can I
Yep.
say something?
Yep, whatever we got, I'm just gonna close out
did I
whatever we have.
hear you say you was gonna run the road over the contaminated area?
It all depends on what an engineer and.
All right, because if you do that, I would assume you're gonna run the water line right through the contamination.
Correct.
Okay, that's all I wanted to know.
I have one question.
Yep, what do we got?
For doing the math on the water use, are you looking at 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom? Any ideas? Want me just assume 3-bedroom?
Just
doing
assume
math?
3.
Okay.
Some 2.5, well, 2 is too small, but maybe 3. No, yeah, 55 plus probably 1 or 2.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I would assume that's gonna be septic systems down there?
It's gonna have to be.
Yeah.
Gonna have, there's no sewer
There's
down
no
there.
sewage there.
You're not, no intention to
We
expand?
couldn't have sewer there at all, that's not,
Yeah, it's not even close to,
yeah, it's a whole different animal.
yeah.
How many buildings are you proposing for your 55 apartments? How many 55 apartments are you gonna have?
40
All right, what's that gonna be,
duplex style,
duplexes? So you're
So
gonna have
20 more
20 buildings?
yeah, side by side.
Okay.
Okay.
That's
All right.
it. I don't have anything.
We need to approve the minutes. We never did that.
Yeah.
Just-
I know.
You never
Okay,
did.
Are we good with this
Yeah.
discussion
Yes.
for now?
Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna close out the discussion on the project on Burge Street and await an application.
Yeah.
And then we can go from there. So that matter's closed. We gotta go
Before
back.
we
to-
close, and we will let everybody know who wants to know what the date is gonna be for another meeting, another review, when these gentlemen are gonna be here. We'll let you know what's happening.
And, you know, when we even get the application, it'll be brought up, so.
Yep.
The way to be found out is either through the public comment that was made at the selectmen's meeting. That was one way that I believe drew people out. We do post all of our meetings, typically Wednesdays, 4 PM. And the agendas are posted town hall, on our office here,
Facebook and website.
Facebook, and on
And
the
website.
website.
If the application comes into us, it will be on our agenda, just for everybody.
Yep.
This one.
Just one last comment. First of all, thank you very much for your time, and I really appreciate it. And some people have inquired if perhaps 4 o'clock is not the best time for people who work. It's a very difficult time. I don't know if there's any...
We have had meetings later. If it suits other people's needs, it works out kind of best for us, but we will, you know, if enough people want to have the meeting later, then we'll schedule that meeting later.
Absolutely, we will.
If there's enough of,
Pertain
if
to
there's enough of that.
Normally, there's no one here.
So,
Negative.
all righty.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you. So, anybody that wants to stay, we got a few other things we're gonna do, but
You can leave.
we're not gonna talk about the birds.
We realize we're not riveting, we understand.
Thanks, guys.
Okay, thank you for coming. All right, you want to,
Thank you all very
Can you
much.
grab her email?
No problem.
You're welcome.
Duffy.
you want to make a motion for this?
You can make a motion for the
All
minutes.
right, I'm going to make a motion that we accept the minutes of March 1st.
Okay,
I second that motion.
okay, any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Do we want to, Fran, do you have anything to go over for Commissioner Superintendent's additions?
Just a couple of things. We were doing the test wells behind well number 2. We did the wells out back.
Yep. Hold on 1 second. Can I ask the public if we're not staying for our portion of the meeting, if you could maybe exit out so we can finish our meeting?
Hey, feel free to stay out there and chit chat, but we gotta record this.
Hello? Hello?
Hey, can we get that? No, but no, if you're gonna have, we gotta just continue our meeting, please.
Okay, so well number 2, we did test wells out back. We did a full pump test a couple years ago, and the water quality, we get elevated manganese, which is pretty typical in a lot of the sources that we have, and which is not you can't get that approved through DEP. So we did additional wells further away from the wetlands. So the initial testing is that the manganese levels are low or non-detect. So the wells are all in. Now we just got to do the pump test. It's just a 5-day pump test. Do water quality, and we should be good to go.
This is
And that was
Lancaster Ave.
That was expansion of that well because of the anticipated
Expansion into
need
Lancaster.
to
Yeah,
Lancaster.
it was supposed to offset, so we had another source. If
Right.
Keating's couldn't supply Lancaster, this would take over and feed.
Give some additional.
And we were so far along in the project, the Lancaster thing, as far as I know, is not going to happen. And it's good to get another source. It's not a high capacity well. We're looking at a couple hundred gallons a minute, but it'll help. it'll help us do our thing.
Good.
One other thing, never mind the wells, it's the water main on Mass Ave. I called, we heard from one supplier that it's a year out for water main, and then I just talked to another one the other day, and he says if we ordered it today, we could get it in June and July, so the things, it's looking better. So
This is the ductile line. correct?
ductile line, which is what I really would like to
There's
do.
not a huge cost difference from
It was
plastic to
$10 a
ductile.
foot more for ductile line, and to me, it's well worth it.
The plastic was still 300 PSI, ductile
No,
600.
we couldn't, well, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, the plastic was 300 PSI, ductile line it's more like 600.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, yeah, right.
It's huge.
I would prefer ductile if possible.
So now we're gonna talk about whether we're gonna, how far we're gonna move forward on this with the pipe. We're gonna order some pipes shortly, or
Well, I
we
gotta
wait
talk
for
to
the
the
engineer?
engineer.
Yeah, I
See
understand.
what the process is. And the good point of me bringing it up was more so that if we go out to bid, we're not looking at a year. You know, we're
Right.
looking at a few months. So,
Yeah.
and I think as time goes on, maybe it'll.
Maybe it'll
tighten
get
up
better.
even more.
Is Mass DOT, we all good there? Did all that?
No.
That's being submitted now.
Okay.
So we did the borings and
Yep. The tests.
testing, and they're finalizing their information and gonna submit to Mass DOT, and they have 90 days.
Are we using 12-inch on Mass Ave and Rolling Acres?
No, if we do rolling acres, it'll be 8-inch.
All right, so if we ordered the 12-inch and something fell through over there, we couldn't use it on Rolling Acres?
No, that'd be way over.
Yeah, I understand, I just,
But I mean, yeah, it's 300,000 for the pipe, so it wouldn't be an easy thing to purchase, so.
Right.
so the engineer's holding us up. We can't do
And Mass
anything.
DOT, you know, there's a couple, let's just,
Yeah, but he was supposed to have this thing ready to go in the ground June,
I
April?
was hoping we were gonna start laying water main in April.
Yeah.
I want this thing.
So the engineer's the one who's holding it up, not us or anybody. Well, the state's holding it up too, but,
Now, the state just, they haven't even got it yet, so they haven't even.
yeah, they haven't even submitted it yet.
So,
well, let's keep on them.
that's all we can do, keep
Yep,
going.
keep on trucking.
I want it done, so. And
Got
I
it.
put the word out that I want this fixed,
Yep.
as soon as we can get it done, so.
The residents do too.
Okay, you got anything else, Fran?
No.
Christie, got anything?
Article, do you need to talk about the article? No,
we want to?
the lead stuff? The lead stuff, they just changed it to they're gonna give grants now. So
Yep.
it's
Okay.
not gonna be a loan or any kind of principal forgiveness.
Wonderful.
They're,
So if they approve it, it's paid for.
they
Yes.
already approved it. Oh, yeah, they approved the thing.
They
yeah.
approved
So-
the article.
So do we
So
need
I-
to submit that?
So I talked to the engineering firm that we decided, Fuss and O'Neill. I talked to Mike today. He said he has reviewed his draft proposal to one of the guys with the SRF funding, and he likes the proposal. But we need to get, really, essentially, we don't need the vote anymore because it's a grant. So it just needs to be signed by the superintendent, which you had already voted to given him approval to sign in the proposal. We just had to wait for the funds. We already got the funds now.
Did you talk to the attorneys? Because I don't agree with you.
Okay.
We still need an article to allow us to spend the money.
Yes.
Okay, so I did, okay,
So we need to just,
all right.
I would
Article
leave
needs to
the
say-
article
say-
as is.
Yes.
as
No.
long as it says accept the grant.
I've just sent it to KP for review because
Yeah.
it is going to be worded different, because,
Okay.
so,
But don't we have to sign the contract to get that
Yes,
submitted?
yes.
So is that available to sign
yes,
tonight?
yes.
Well, let's sign
So
it.
I'd like
we
to
can
sign
sign
it, get this
this.
thing
Yes.
And he can submit to DEP, we can start it, and then the annual meeting, it's wording that basically just says, we're
It's a-
letting you spend the grant money,
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
essentially, right?
Yeah, perfect.
Because, yeah, we can't, we're only allowed to spend the money that's approved in the budget.
Correct.
That's it. So
Right.
As I believe
we
the
get money,
wording
we
in
can't
that
spend it.
article, which I have, it says, doesn't it list both terms that it may be a grant or it may be reimbursable?
I thought it covered
Cut? I thought it kind of covered
I think
both.
so too. I think it just, the article may be able to stand as is. I will get word from KP.
Sure, let's just-
But regardless, it's now great because
Okay.
it's a grant.
I agree.
All right.
So
if
yes,
we can
I do
sign that thing
have-
and get that thing going, because the sooner we get that thing going.
Absolutely.
That's like the PFAS stuff.
Yep. Now-
The sooner we get it going,
Oh.
that's.
Let's just randomly, the article gets voted down at our annual meeting.
I asked that hypothetical question.
Anybody would do that.
I mean,
But let's just say it did. But at that point, if it's already a grant, but that article is on spending money, correct?
Correct.
Is the request to spend money.
well, we gotta spend the money, but when
if
we
it's a
get the gift of the money, we need the authority to spend it.
Not if the grant is specific to a project.
Okay.
I would, that's how I would view
I
that.
don't agree with that.
No.
Well, this is
Because
where
I-
we'll get the details from KP.
I'm just
I've reached out to
questioning
them.
whether we can, you know, are we putting the cart before the horse to sign this now?
Well, if we
Can
do it,
come to,
and there is a bill, we'll have to take it out of our regular maintenance budget. So we have our own funding to do this kind of thing.
right.
I mean, we have our own budget.
And by the time
This-
we have the annual meeting, we're not going to have I don't believe we're going to have a response from DEP yet, unless fussing.
I'm just saying, signing this, does this put us on?
This only approves them to submit an application for the funding
Let's
through
sign it.
DEP. That's it.
Let's sign it.
This isn't a
Okay.
contract to say we're going
I
to do
just,
this.
I wanted to
I'm
make sure we
sorry,
weren't
should've-
signing.
I
this,
understand
then-
exactly what you're
Yes,
saying.
yes, this only says submit the application to do the lead service line and get the funding. That's it.
Okay.
Yes, we can sign that.
So do we have to have a vote, and who signs it? Does Fran sign it?
It had.
Both of
it
you.
had- Yes, it had multiple signatures.
Just two. It was just yours and his.
Oh, I thought you did too. Okay.
Nope.
Okay,
Yeah, okay, that's just you two.
so,
Yep.
I don't think we need a motion or anything for that, I mean, do we?
No, I don't
do
think
we
so.
need a motion for that, Fran? I think,
Probably couldn't hurt.
You probably should.
if I'm signing it, there should probably.
I'll
be
make a motion to allow the superintendent and the chairman to sign what's this thing called again? The lead.
Lead service line, the authority to file the lead service line replacement program.
The authority to sign the lead.
Service line replacement.
Lead service line replacement. You need a second.
I second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Good man,
All right. Just in case.
just in case. Okay, let's get it signed. I'll give it to Mr. Birch, or whatever.
However, okay,
Let's
so
put-
do
let's
we
put
have
'em on the
anything
hook.
else, Fran?
You're page
Christie?
3 only.
No, I think that's it.
Yep.
Okay.
Oh, one little quick, we got a new guy, PJ started
yeah.
Monday, he's doing good.
No, you timed out.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, I saw him in the hallway there.
So this one says Fran?
Good page.
That's you authorizing Fran. I can
down.
review it with you
Yeah,
exactly
review
where
it
to
with
sign
me
after.
after,
Yep,
so I make
sure.
sure I sign in the right spot. Okay,
All right,
Matt, got anything?
I'm all set.
I make a
John?
motion, we adjourn.
I second that motion.
Perfect. We're done.
Okay.
The only thing is next Wednesday.